the Hollywood Unapologetic Podcast with Orlando Delbert, Filmmaking Essentials.
It's pretty wild how fast things change in entertainment, isn't it?
It really is.
And if you want, like, a perfect example of that evolution happening super fast, you got to look at the adult entertainment industry.
Absolutely. I mean, an industry that used to be, mostly physical DVDs and kind of separate from the mainstream, it's being totally transformed now by tech, by new creators.
Digital natives, basically.
Exactly. New creators, new consumers.
We've pulled together some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We've got reports looking at the market itself, some really thought-provoking chats about how filmmaking is getting more democratic, how tech's hitting indie film, some practical guides on virtual production, which sounds fascinating, and yeah, a look into VR erotica.
Right. So our mission here really is to get a handle on the big shifts happening, how adult entertainment gets made, how it's consumed.
It's the whole process.
The whole thing, behind the scenes, the viewer experience. And, as we explore this, you'll probably see how these changes actually reflect wider trends in filmmaking generally.
Totally. So the new Hollywood generation. In this context, it's really about how tech has kind of empowered individuals. People can now make adult content that looks, well, pretty high quality. Stuff that used to be impossible without a big budget.
Yeah, and what's really striking is how that accessible tech has met this growing demand for more diverse stuff, more personal content.
Right.
One of the market reports we looked at really drives this home. The internet, digital platforms have made sexual content available everywhere. But it's not just access. The tools to actually make it are in way more hands now.
Yeah, it's not just the big studios anymore. It links into that democratization of filmmaking trend that one of our sources talked about.
Exactly. Tech progress spreading the power to create media much more widely.
I mean, think about the video quality on your phone right now.
It's incredible.
And editing software. Used to cost an arm and a leg, needed special training. Now it's way more accessible, easier to use.
The barriers haven't disappeared completely, obviously, but they're definitely lower.
Which fits perfectly with that Reddit thread we saw, the one about zero-budget filmmaking.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
The big takeaway seemed to be, embrace your limits. Turn them into creative choices. Someone even mentioned projects shot entirely on phones or just in one room.
That's the whole spirit, isn't it? Resourceful people using what's available. That Raindance article, Beyond the Lens, kind of echoes this. It said anyone can be a storyteller just by, telling stories.
And that lines up perfectly with the boom in user-generated content in the adult industry that the Market Trends report mentioned. And these creators aren't just winging it either. That same Reddit thread mentioned all the free film school resources you can find online now.
So the knowledge is out there too.
Yeah, the knowledge, the tools, it's all becoming easier to get hold of.
Though that Reddit thread also made a good point about collaboration. Even on a zero budget, finding people to work with can make a huge difference. Filmmaking's usually a team sport, right?
True. Okay, so more people can make content now. What about how we actually watch it? The market report mentioned a huge shift from physical stuff like DVDs to digital. Seems obvious, but what does that really mean for the industry?
Well, going digital has really opened the door for personalization. The Trends and Opportunities reports really hammer this point.
Personalization, how so?
People want content tailored to them. Platforms are using AI, algorithms, to look at what you watch and suggest other things.
Like Netflix or Spotify.
Exactly like that. It keeps people engaged, keeps them happy. One of the market research reports back this up too. Higher satisfaction.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
But the reports also kept bringing up VR and AR, virtual reality, augmented reality. This is where it gets kind of sci-fi, right? More immersive.
Oh, absolutely. VR and AR could totally change how we experience digital stuff. The market reports see them as huge growth areas.
Right.
Imagine stepping beyond just a flat screen, actually feeling like you're in the scene.
And we actually saw some proof of how powerful that is. That study on VR erotica, it found women reported feeling like significantly more present, generally present, sexually present, and even more sexually aroused with VR compared to just watching a 2D video.
Wow. Okay. That's a big difference.
It really shows the power of immersion.
It does. But making that kind of really immersive stuff, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Harder. Much harder. That Wired video we looked at, how to make VR porn, laid it out. It's way more complex than standard filming. You need special 360-degree camera rigs.
Multi-camera rigs, right.
Yeah, multi-camera. Then you have to stitch that footage together, map the fisheye view onto like a sphere so it looks right in a headset. It sounds technically really demanding.
It really does. And that Reddit thread from the Unity developers, how to make a VR porn recording program,
Yeah.
someone basically said, look, this is a massive project.
Right. Needs serious money, probably a team of experienced VR coders, likely not something a lone creator can just whip up.
So it's kind of funny, isn't it? It's getting easier to make basic digital content, but making truly high-end immersive VR stuff still has these huge technical hurdles.
Exactly. It suggests maybe different levels, different tiers of content creation developing within the industry.
Okay, so more creators, digital dominance, this exciting but tricky VRR frontier. Let's talk about how tech is changing the actual making of the content itself. Even the non-VR stuff. Virtual production kept coming up. Let's unpack that. What is it?
Okay, so virtual production. At its heart, like the VES handbook explains, it's about using tech to basically blur the line between the physical set and virtual environments.
Blurring the line. How?
It lets filmmakers kind of interact with digital worlds in real time, almost like they're real physical sets.
That sounds incredibly cool. How does it work on a practical level?
Well, a big part is using real-time game engines, like Unreal Engine or Unity. These let you see the virtual set instantly. And then there are these huge LED video walls they use on set.
Instead of green screens.
Exactly. Instead of green screens, these walls show dynamic, realistic backgrounds. So the actors see it, but crucially, the light from the LED wall actually illuminates the actors and the set realistically.
Oh, wow. So you get realistic lighting and reflections baked in. That avoids all the headaches of green screen compositing later.
Precisely. It makes a huge difference. The actors can react to the environment they're actually seeing.
That must improve performances, the whole feel of the scene during the shoot.
Definitely. Both the VES handbook and that indie filmmaker case study mention this. The filmmaker doing the sports campaign, they got these amazing immersive shots all done in a single day using an LED wall.
That's incredibly efficient. Our sources also mention something called in-camera green screen replacement as sort of a step before LED walls.
Yeah, kind of a precursor. The handbook explains it involved tracking the camera's position and lens data in real time, feeding that into a game engine, and then rendering the virtual background onto monitors on set. So you can see a live preview of the composite. LED walls just take it way further by actually being the background and the light source.
Got it. And virtual production isn't just about the backgrounds, is it? I remember reading about virtual scouting and controlling virtual characters.
Correct. It's a whole toolkit. Virtual scouting lets you explore digital locations way before you build anything physical. Pre-visualization helps plan complex shots.
Right.
And yeah, the handbook talks about using motion capture, full body facial capture to basically puppet digital characters in real time.
Yeah.
An actor's performance goes straight onto a digital avatar.
That is seriously blurring the lines. That indie case study also had some really practical tips, didn't it? Like lighting from above, keeping distance from the LED wall. Sounds like there's a learning curve.
Oh, for sure. You definitely need some technical skill. Often you need to work closely with artists who really know Unreal Engine. And that MASV article pointed out something critical. You need serious solutions for transferring massive files. These virtual production workflows generate huge amounts of high-res data.
Right, makes sense. So, putting it all together, what's the big picture here for making content? It sounds like this virtual production stuff isn't just for Hollywood blockbusters anymore, like that indie budget article said.
Exactly that. It's becoming another tool for creativity, getting more accessible for anyone with an idea.
Yeah.
The VES handbook argues these tools are fundamentally changing filmmaking workflows.
How so?
Well, think about visual effects artists. With real-time rendering, they're likely to get involved much earlier throughout the whole production, not just tacked on at the end.
And could that change the kinds of stories we see? If the visual effects side is less of a technical barrier, maybe more diverse voices can bring their visions to life.
That's a definite possibility. The handbook suggests filmmakers who aren't, super technical traditionally might engage more directly with VFX now. Could lead to more innovation, more diversity.
Okay, let's zoom back out to the adult industry specifically. The market reports, they're predicting pretty solid growth.
Yeah, the Global Analysis Report mentioned a TAGR, compound annual growth rate, of about 5.3% over the next few years. North America is the biggest market share right now in 2024.
But that other report, Transparency Market Research, pointed to Asia Pacific is growing really fast.
Right. More internet access, more digital payments. They're fueling rapid expansion in the online market.
But it's not all smooth sailing, is it? The reports also mention challenges.
Absolutely critical to remember those. Legal hurdles, regulations, the social stigma that still exists.
Piracy is always an issue, too.
Piracy, ethical concerns, and just the constant need to keep up with what consumers want. It's a complex landscape.
But then there are the opportunities, right? Online platforms, VR, AR, like we discussed, this whole area of sex tech.
Sex tech, more personalization, and also opportunities around adopting more ethical practices within the industry.
So it's really at this interesting crossroads. Dealing with challenges, but also grabbing onto these new tech possibilities and trying to meet changing audience desires.
That sums it up pretty well, a real inflection point.
Okay, so just to wrap up the key things we've touched on, we've got this new Hollywood generation, right? Empowered by tech that's easier to get, that's merging with the rise of really immersive stuff like VR and AR.
Which is exciting, but complex.
And then we have these virtual production techniques, which used to be exclusive, now becoming more democratic, kind of like filmmaking tools in general.
Yeah, it's a fascinating mix. It opens up huge creative doors, but also brings real challenges for creators and the industry. And these trends, they echo what's happening across the board in digital content.
Which leads us nicely to a final thought for you listening. As technology keeps blurring that line between physical and virtual, and as more and more people get their hands on these powerful filmmaking tools, how is that going to change how we even understand entertainment, how we experience it?
Yeah, and what kind of completely new creative ideas or, business models might pop up that we haven't even thought of yet?
Definitely something to keep an eye on, not just in this industry, but everywhere.
You can find more insights on navigating the entertainment industry and achieving success in Orlando Delbert's work, including his book, Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical, and of course, the Hollywood Unapologetic platform. And always remember, you are the key to your own success. You are the new Hollywood generation.
Be informed, be prepared, and most importantly, be great.
That's it. Be great. Good luck out there.
See you next time.